Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We'll get to the JRC here in a moment, but first, the disclaimers. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shots campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to see pertinent links in the description box. We have Autistic Hoya's Massive Archive, where we get the bulk of our information in regards to the JRC for this channel. We have the article written by Neuroclastic, where they interviewed over 800 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. The same one, by the way, that made JRC so salty they threatened Neuroclastic with a defamation lawsuit if they didn't remove it off their website. They, of course, refused. Please read the article, share it on all your social media. We also, due to that JRC threat, have their Neuroclastics GoFundMe in there. If you can donate a little bit, I know that they would appreciate it, or please share it. Unlike the JRC, we do not have access to unlimited funding. Alright folks, trigger warnings when we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips or surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please utilize the headphones. Also, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We do use profanity and speak on dark subjects. If your child's 16 and younger and they're watching this, parental supervision is very much advised. Alright, back to where we were yesterday. Okay, back to JW. JW has also attacked caregivers and peers by hitting, headbutting, and biting them. On several occasions, JW's families had to lock themselves in the bathroom. We've already gone over that. As well as well-respected residential treatment programs. It doesn't mean jack without a full functional behavioral assessment. I feel like I need to hijack the loudspeakers around the JRC and just continue on a loop to have it come out the speakers, full functional behavioral assessment. Not even kidding. Not even kidding. Because they continue to act like they don't even hear us when we even bring it up. But they've tried everything. Alright. JW continued to engage in extremely aggressive behavior towards others and to injure himself. He often required multiple staff to escort him at school for safety. So here's the demonization. And it's something that if you read it, all of these so-called testimonials, they all have a pattern to them. They're all done the exact same way. First, we're going to try to shock you by listing out all the so-called diagnoses, leaving some determinedly vague so that the reader can read into it whatever comes to mind, right? They do that. Second, they demonize Big Pharma. This is something that is major towards pretty much everybody that touts pseudoscience insanity. They always go after Big Pharma as though Big Pharma is also Big Brother. Like in the 60s when the people used to go up against the man, but with a whole lot more vitriol, hatred, and absolutely delusional ideas in regards to what they really are and how much power they actually have. Now, they are powerful. I'm not going to tell you different. But, just like everybody else, they are subject to lawsuits. Lawsuits are ridiculously expensive. Most successful CEOs of big pharma companies are for their own greed and self-interest, going to make sure every T is crossed, every I is dotted, so that they are not forced to spend millions of dollars fighting malpractice suits, wrongful medic. You get where I'm going here, right? Shilling millions because of multiple lawsuits is not in the best interest of any business's pocketbook. Most of them build their relationships based off of respect. Do you know how quickly losing customer confidence would happen if Big Pharma actually was the boogeyman places like the JRC tried to paint them as? Yeah. See, this is an area where critical thinking might do some people some good. Okay? For whatever reason, this time period, one of the stupidest time periods I've been forced to live through, has decided that Big Pharma is the big bad. But they do so illogically and incoherently that you can't even really take them serious. Are there some corrupt, borderline illegal shit that Big Pharma has their hands in? You bet your ass. But the last thing they're going to do in regards to their drugs is put their own bottom line at risk by pushing drugs that are going to do the polar opposite of what the consumer needs for them to do. I'm going to need a lot of you to stop listening to crackpots like RFK Jr. And if you don't trust big media, fine. Talk to doctors. Talk to nurses. Talk to medical assistants. Talk to neurologists, psychiatrists, psychologists. People who are actually in this field of work that have the ability to prescribe medications. Because I will always trust my mom in regards to just about anything healthcare wise, because she's literally been in the healthcare arena for over 40 years, over RFK Jr.'s conspiracy theory nutbar insanity any day. Any day. And the fact that people are willing to listen to this guy, who has never been to med school, has never worked in the healthcare field in any way, shape, form, or capacity, does not have a single doctorate letter behind his name, but we are supposed to trust him over people who have spent their entire lifetimes treating patients in hospitals, clinics, and small offices all over the country. But people like RFK and like the JRC always push the Big Pharma and try to paint them into a far worse boogeyman than what they really are, because it benefits them to do so. How does RFK Jr. line his pockets? I'm glad you asked, because he sued a whole bunch of folks who handle vaccines. And I'm not talking COVID. I'm talking the traditional vaccines that every single one of us have received before we got into public education starting in kindergarten. Okay? These shots have been around a long time. Any of these conspiracy theorists were actually correct in regards to MMR and autism, let me be blunt here, even with the so-called crazy rise, there would be a hell of a lot more autistics if that was actually true. Okay? They do it though because they benefit monetarily off of pseudoscience. They're here to provide the alternative or here to collect your money to go on a wild goose chase for who even fucking knows. If you can't tell, nothing pisses me off quite like anti-vaxxers. They're special. Anyways, let me get back to where we were, okay? Alright. JW also suffered a series of adverse effects from medication, including weight gain, loss of interest, sadness, and loss of control of his bowels. Now, if you remember me talking about the side effects of my current medication, Paxil, every medicine is going to have side effects. I might even take this down in an area that a lot of people don't always talk about. There's side effects from talk therapy. If you want to know what I mean by that, side effects for getting normal counseling? Yes, there is. When you are processing something that is particularly traumatic while you're going through therapy, and you come out of that office, you're not just going to bounce back. Whatever thing you're working through is going to be at the forefront of your head and probably cause you some emotional distress. Now, most people would not call that a side effect, but I think you get what I'm saying here, right? I'm certainly not cutting it out, even if it might be a poor choice of words. Every medication has side effects. Let's break it down, shall we? The JRC has already proved multiple times throughout the entirety of this never-ending comment that they are more than willing to list the medications. This is only the second one that we have here where they don't. So, considering their normal behavior, blame Big Pharma, list the medications, hope that we're all stupid enough to not notice that over half of them have to do with anti-epilepsy. So why, in the case of these people who should have been aged out of the system over a decade ago, are the medications not being listed here? Right? Suspect. Okay? Number 2. This is why, when your doctor prescribes you something, you have a very thorough discussion in regards to that particular medicine, so that you know what all the risks are, and be able to determine with your doctor if the risks outweigh the benefits. It's also good to note, because if there is a side effect, you may be like me, where there is a workaround. The medication that I am on has a couple of side effects that I've experienced. Constipation and agonizing stomach pain. Alright? It's not fun. Did I go whining, yelling about Big Pharma and how they were trying to kill me? No, because I'm sane. My doctor recommended some stool softeners. Those didn't work out so well. So I went with the second suggestion of hers with the chia seeds. Took care of that problem. For the stomach issues, for reasons that I can't wrap my brain around, it somehow like turns on like a switch, my acid reflux, and it burns through my stomach like somebody has like wrenched my jaw open and shoved a torch down my esophagus, down my throat, and is now lighting the inside of my stomach on fire. Yeah, I know, graphic, but that's what it feels like. So I began to take my antacid medications at the same time that I'm taking a Paxil. And it cancels out the stomach issues. The chia seeds take care of the constipation issues. You see where I'm going here? There are a lot of issues in regards to medications that could be easily resolved by simply having a candid and detailed discussion in regards to said prescription when you're at your doctor's. You don't just have to blindly take what medication they prescribe for you. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to know what the side effects are. You are allowed to sit there and try to contemplate whether the benefits outweigh the risks. And in cases where the medicine really does work, but the side effects suck, having those conversations with your doctor may provide a solution if the medication is working for you, if there's a workaround, so you can continue to receive the benefit without having to suffer from the side effects. The easiest way to accomplish that is, again, frank conversation with your doctor. You do not just have to obediently obey and take medication. You are allowed to ask questions. When you ask questions, it resolves a whole lot of things before they even become a problem. Okay? That being said, there are medications that do cause weight gain. That is true. But loss of interest, sadness, loss of control of bowels. Sounds like autistic burnout to me. Believe me, I would know. But we didn't know what to do. Most of the time, I try to be kind and somewhat understanding with the parents. I really do. Especially out in Massachusetts, where the very people who are supposed to be guiding them properly through the service system do nothing but take their money, extort them. You see where I'm going here, right? Good. But some of them, yeah, we've gone over that before. The true believers. It sounds like part of what's going on with JW is that he's suffering from clinical depression. Okay? At JRC, you don't treat clinical depression with corporal punishment and think that it's going to solve the issue. I'll ask you for the billionth time, are you smoking crack? Is crack what you smoke? Because I can tell you right now, being hooked up to that device on one of my worst days would not in any way, shape, or form assist me in regards to my depression. It would make it fucking worse. Anybody trying to sell the point otherwise is selling something. Anyone that prescribes abuse, and JRC, yes, it's abuse. It doesn't stop being abuse because you are trying to fool people by calling it treatment. It is what it is. If you want to sue me, please fucking do. I would love to have you by the balls in discovery. It doesn't stop being abuse because the JRC insists that it's treatment. It is what it is. Okay? So you are listing all these symptoms, and yet you do not explain how putting this person on the GED is going to fix all these issues. But no, if you read on, they're smiling, they're better. I don't want your interpretation in regards to what you're seeing, because usually what you're seeing is false. You have rose-tinted glasses, and most of us Audis learn how to mask young to at least try to alleviate some of the abuse. Okay? I want something concrete. I want something with exceptionally detailed notes. I want to know scientifically if this place can show me exactly how the GED is supposed to make any of the things that they are listing here better. Well, without the medication, there will be no side effects. If you are alive, you're gonna deal with side effects. Okay? Please spare me. A detailed report on how exactly and specifically using the GED device has improved overall quality of life, how it helps fix clinical depression, how it is going to help combat issue with one's bowels. Because JRC, loss of control of bowels, is usually something that you would want to go see a primary care physician for, not put someone on a torture device. But it's the consequences of the medicine. Okay, prove it. List that medication and in detail list all the side effects. Otherwise, we are operating off of just trust me, brah. And I'm sorry, I don't just trust anybody. Sorry, not sorry. A detailed, concise, and precise piece of paper in front of me, explaining in detail how the GED device was going to make all these behaviors better, how the GED device gives this person so-called greater quality of life, how the GED device somehow makes academic performance better. And I also, before you do that, want you to also write in detail all the other parts of the particular program that kid is on in detail, so that we can have some controls and discover, are the positive changes due to the GED device, or are the positive changes having to do with something else in the program? Because you say you use the GED as a supplement, right? Right, JRC? Well, if it's just a supplement, what is the rest of this program that these kids on that device are on? And could the positive changes not be coming from the GED at all, but from the other part of their treatment program? We can't answer that question right now. We can't, because the JRC has never provided that information. Their clinical studies have killed so many innocent trees for their nonsense. It's because, folks, when you read all this and you know it's based off of a punishment model, you understand that the GED device cannot address these issues. No punishment can, because you're not getting to the root cause of the issues using the punishment model. You're punishing the outward signs without getting to the trigger. And let's be blunt here. We're not talking about people who are being willfully disobedient. We are talking about neurodivergent kids here. When we have those behaviors, do you really think that that is under our control? Do you? No, it's not. There comes a point where all control is gone. All control is gone. Which means no punishment is going to be able to help me in regards to that. What am I learning? Other than more internalized self-loathing, and to hide anything and everything that even resembles any form of emotion or independent thought until I am far the fuck away from places like that. All these issues, they cannot prove to me or you how the GED device fixed all these issues. Because they can't. It's punishment and nothing more. There's no teaching. There's no alternative soothing techniques being taught to these kids. There's no reasonable accommodations like noise canceling headphones, or maybe stop forcing them to wear a fabric that, due to sensory issues, is essentially them being tortured all day. Those actually address root causes of some of these behaviors. Punishment cannot address the root of the behavior. It can only address the behavior itself. Incorrectly, I might add. It is not right to punish someone having these behaviors, but those behaviors are not willful on our end, and we are not in control. We are not deliberately disobeying. When we go into those behaviors, we go into things that we cannot control. And it is not right to simply punish the behaviors and give us nothing in return to combat them. We're going to go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Please don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all in a few minutes. Bye-bye, everyone.